Now we'll see how good you are.
No matter what anybody tells you, words and ideas can change the world.
Ready to work.
Why is it that like 2 seconds before you just have to start talking, that's when your nose decides that's like, here comes the sneeze? I apologize. So, hang on 1 second. Yep, no, we're good. Okay, we're better. Hi, everybody. Hi, how are you? How are you? You're over here now, right? I've moved the camera. Hi. It's so nice to see all of you. Thank you, by the way, for subscribing. I got to look over here. I moved the camera, and I'm working on it. Thank you so much for resubscribing. That's fantastic. Thank you so much. I hope this keeps... Yeah, face cam. I hope this thing, this stream tonight is a good one. It should be. But before... Hi, hello, hi, everybody. Before we really get into it, can we just have a moment where I'm going to give myself some air horns? Because this right now is two things have happened. One, this is the first stream that's hardwired. Like there's, I don't know, 100-something feet of cable snaking now through my floor and walls, all the way down to the modem. So that should, where's the microphone? That should really resolve the latency issues and the unstable internet issues. Yeah, that's great. I'm super pumped. So that's step one. Step two, you can't tell, but overhead here, there's a new light. So I look like this all the time now. It's not perfect yet. I have to charge the light, like it's running at like half juice, but and I'm apparently really red in this instance. So I gotta like work on that because I swear I'm not having a cardiac issue. I've got myself set to red when I should be like brown, but we're working on it. Also, the camera is really set to red, so we'll deal with that later. But for now, hey, new light, new pole, new cable, feels pretty good. Here comes the air horns. I can't begin to tell you how frustrating it's been to like sit here and do something and then all of a sudden this message just like slides across the screen. Your internet connection is unstable. And oh man, is it ever a nuisance, because usually just after that message, if Zoom is running on like that side of the monitor, nope, it crashes. And then if this crashes, and the next thing you know, like it's last week and I'm filming over, like I'm just trying to get stuff done and I just want to talk to people, and damn software is giving me grief. So now with a new cable, thanks everybody, I think we got it. I think we're good. Now I do have to like deal with the camera. That's next on the list. I just have to like pre-order one and then wait however many aeons until it arrives. So we're saving up for that. That'll be cool. This camera frame is a lot wider, so I get to work with my hands again. I'm pretty pleased, really excited for that, because this one tonight's got a lot of gesturing. And I apologize if I'm going to touch my face a lot. I find that I do that in the more personal topics. And tonight's a real personal one. First of all, hi, oh my God, look at all the people here. Hello. Hi. Some of you are new. I don't know you. So if you don't know me and this is the first time you're checking me out, my name is John Adamus. I'm the writer next door. And hey, look, there are some graphics with my stuff on it. I am and have been for the last 22 years a full-time developmental editor and writing coach, helping people tell their stories for whether it's your first draft or your last draft or any draft in between, or building your career or starting your career, getting published in any number of ways, writing whatever it is you're writing. I'm here to help. So that's who I am. You're you. I'm me. And tonight we're talking about, where are my title buttons? I'm so glad you brought some friends in. Yay for writing groups. Hey, hi. Hello, new people. Yay for writing groups. Big fan. Hang on, look. I have a title for tonight. You ready for the title? The camera's going to jump because that's how I have it set. I apologize, but ready? Ready? Here's the title. Tonight we're talking Imposter Syndrome. And I'm really eager because this topic is incredibly, incredibly personal to me. It's probably the thing I spend the most time thinking about because, sadly, I think it's the thing I spend the most time feeling. But we'll get there. We'll cover that. We're going to talk about it. And I just, first and foremost, I want you to know that this is not going to be like a downer. It's going to have some down parts. We're going to like trend downward for a bit, but I swear, we're going to climb. We're going to climb up in that back half. You just got to ride with me a little bit. And I'm hoping that this discussion, and it is a discussion, feel free to say stuff in chat. Hi, chat. Also, this chat feeds into the YouTube chat starting next week, but we haven't, that announcement comes Wednesday. You're just hearing that first for the first time. But, hi, everybody. Hi, chat. This topic is like my thing. And it's weird because when you talk about it, this idea that you're not good enough, this idea that you don't belong, this idea that you're out of place and everybody else is better than you, like that shouldn't be anybody's topic, right? Like that should not be a thing someone feels most comfortable talking about, right? Like we should all exist in some place and some time and some area where we are all supportive of each other and we are able to be creative and we are able to help each other as best we can. And we shouldn't be paying $6 a gallon for gasoline. And like we should be taking care of each other and taking care of those who need more help taking care of themselves. And like none of these things should be problems that are problems. But alas, for the moment, until we grab our hammers and knock down walls and pedestals, comrade, we're here doing this. So I've put on, oh my God, thank you. Hang on. Thank you so much. Just thank you. You're amazing. You're amazing and I love you. And I hope, wow, you're great. Thank you. Thanks so much. My hope tonight, my goal tonight is to get you to think, if nothing else. I just want you thinking. I just want you understanding your place in this. And I want you to know that I'm here Mondays and Wednesdays and I'm forever around on the internet. And if you ever think that you're alone, please know that I am also spending that exact second having that exact same thought. So if you want to be alone together, you just come DM me, find me on Discord, just come say hi. And we can be alone together because that's really important to me, as you're about to find out. Because imposter syndrome is one of those things that's like universal. I think, really and truly, I think we as a species have had imposter syndrome since the time when we were monkeys making the conversion from trees to land. I really do. I think ever since our viability as mates or members of the tribe or the pod or the group or the whatever have been dependent on our abilities to pick berries and not die real good, I think there's always been some kind of like competition or fear that we have to do better, we have to fit in, we have to be a member of the in group, not the out group. And I think ever since that moment, there's always been some kind of imposter syndrome because there's always been somebody somewhere, from the littlest, tree-dwelling mammal all the way to the most person who's ever personed. There's always somebody who's felt like they haven't belonged, and felt like they shouldn't be where they're at, and felt like the success they want has always been light years away and getting farther away with every passing moment. Those are my people. We're going to talk about that. We're going to get there, but you're not alone in that. You're not. And very, very little of what you're going to possibly say in terms of explaining and justifying, well, John, here's exactly why you could be talking for a while, and very, very little is ever going to convince me that you are not good enough to succeed. Because I have spent nearly 40 years feeling this way. And I'm not trying to beat you in some contest of who sucks more. I'm just trying to point out that, like, if I'm this far and you're that far, we're both doing all right. Like, it could be a lot better, no doubt. Believe me, no doubt it could be a lot better. But here we are. And it can always improve from here, and we're always able to improve things. We're going to get there too, but we got to start somewhere. So where are we starting tonight? We're going to start tonight with sort of where I found imposter syndrome. Like, how long has it been my best friend? More than the cats, more than my brother, more than my actual friends. How long has imposter syndrome been with me? I thought about this. I thought about this a lot. It started when I was 6 or 7. And I say that without issue and really without any doubt. I was 6 or 7, and I realized that because of physical disability, because of anxiety, because of trauma and abuse, because of my size, because of my lungs, because of any number of reasons, I was different from the other kids. I was getting picked dead last or second to dead last. In gym class, I couldn't make my legs work too well, and I couldn't run very far, couldn't run very fast, couldn't easily grab things. I had real bad motor control issues as a kid, and it left me really hampered and very, very painfully aware that everybody else had a better time of things. Like, they knew what to do. You could give them a ball and say, go play this sport, and they'd go play that sport. And I'm over there figuring out, like, how do I make my legs move? How do I, like, kick the ball and not fall over? That feeling of separation bonded pretty quickly to me, like if I may make a comic book reference, like a Venom symbiote. It just grafted onto me, man. And it sucked. It really, truly sucked, because I wanted to do something with that feeling. I think whenever we feel that sense of, oh my God, who am I? What am I doing? I don't belong here. This sucks. This is bad. I think the minute we feel that, we have an urge, because we're social animals, to immediately go communicate that, to immediately exercise that from ourselves, to go out and get rid of this feeling because it sucks. And we want to do something with it. So I tried to talk about it. I went home to my parents and said, hey, or tried to say, hey, I don't like this feeling. I don't feel right. This sucks. Why am I like this and everybody else is over there like that? And I was met with pretty hefty, unsupportive statements, such as, what are you going to do? Cry about it? Or, well, that's just how life is. Or more pointedly, that's just how life is for you. You have to get used to it, John. And no 6 or 7-year-old wants to hear that. That's not a thing. That's not, like, good. No, but nobody should go through their child years thinking, oh, I'm supposed to be like this. I'm supposed to feel like I don't fit in. That sucks. Let's not do that. Lesson learned early. But I didn't have any outlet for it. So I just accepted it. And I think when anybody gets into a position, gets into a place where they have to accept that feeling of, I'm not good enough, this is never going to be good enough, everybody else is now literally and metaphorically lapping me in the track event that is life. Everybody else seems to be doing better. Everybody else has some sense of, like, the playbook, the manual, the instructions, the cheat codes even, and you're out there fumbling around like, which foot do I move? What do I do? I think the minute you feel that and you get used to it, you're at a crossroads, and you can take one of two routes. One, you can get angry, because it's a totally legit feeling to feel like everybody's better than you and it's unfair, and you can be angry about it. That's a totally reasonable thing, especially when you're a little kid. But I think the other way to go, and it's differently harmful, is to collapse in on yourself. Absolutely think that you're just never going to be good at anything, because everybody around you is telling you that, like, you're not going to be good at that. Why even bother? Good, like, you should be thankful and grateful that you're able to do the bare minimum and stop right there. And that's what I did. And that sucks. That sucks a lot, because it's been 4 decades now, and I'm still grappling with that. And I don't want you to grapple with that. So that's part of the reason why we're talking about this, Because if you jump on the internet, literally anywhere, any of the communities, any of the Discord groups, any of the Facebook things, any of the anythings, you are going to find people. Maybe it's you, maybe it's 10 other people, maybe it's everybody. You are going to find people who feel like they don't belong anywhere. Now, there are reasons for this. Part of it's going to be the thinking and the support circle around them that got them here. But part of it is also the climate and the culture they're in right now. Social media, as we're going to talk about for frequently in this conversation, social media is the reason why your imposter syndrome gets worse. Because social media has this sort of, what's the nicest way to put it? It has this real impact on people. Because it wasn't always like this, but it is like this now, where it has this hyper sanitized extreme effect. You have to be positive. You do talk about your good things, because talking about the bad things is just bad. You don't do that. It's good things, and it's good things all the time. And that sort of toxically erodes the sense of things, because it gives people the impression that, like, there's an us group who's not doing too well, and then there's a them group, like way over there, there's a them group who seems to be doing literally everything 10 times faster, 10 times better, 10 times easier than we could ever do one thing. Thanks, social media. That's swell of you. I really appreciate you doing that. But again, that feeling of not good enough is, like a real thing. And yes, I agree. Good things get posted, bad things end up in comments. Absolutely. That's totally it. But why is that? Because it wasn't always like that. And social media does invalidate reality through subjective lenses, because we only see what people are willing to show. And that's a real benefit sometimes, because then you can ask really pointed questions. But other times you get a real sense of, like, why is this person only having good things happen to them? And that's, for me, a really important point I want to make. If you're looking to kick imposter syndrome somewhat away from you, like kick it in the face and have it back up a few yards, the best thing you can do is probably one of the hardest things you can do, which is be okay with talking about things that aren't great. And be okay with talking to other people about things that aren't great. There's other tools we're going to talk about, but this is first and foremost, because if we're going to defeat the subjective lenses, I really liked that comment. Thank you. I'm going to go with Quintillion. I got to make this thing bigger. Hang on one second so I can read your names, because... Thank you, Quintillion. Your comment was awesome. If we're going to, if we can't necessarily eradicate it in one step, right? It's the idea that we have to work in process, and we have to do things in incremental steps in order to liberate ourselves from however deeply we've grafted this idea that we're not good enough to our being. Because here's a very important thing. Here's a very, very fundamental thing. You are always you, no matter where you go, no matter how hard you try to dress it up or pretend otherwise. You are always going to be you. You take yourself everywhere. You are always in a group of one. And I think that gets overlooked a lot, because, again, here comes social media with its algorithms prioritizing this idea of community for good or for ill, where we get this collective sense of, well, no, we're all in this together. It's all us. It's all good. But it is not all good. It's not all good. It can't be all good. It shouldn't be all good. It should be good and other stuff. But there's a reason. There's a reason why you don't hear the people who have made it no longer talking about how hard it was to make it. And there is a reason why people who want to try and make it, end up repeating the same things over and over about how hard it is to try and make it. And that's because everybody is looking at subjective things through subjective lenses and thinking everything is objective. Everybody's route to success is going to be different, and everybody's success is also going to be different. Success for me, well, I've already accomplished it. I've already achieved it. Like, I'm streaming and there's no notification anywhere on my screen that there's any kind of like unstable connection. I can hear. I can just do that and call it a win and go on about my day. Pretty pumped. Success for me long term is like getting through the day, getting through tomorrow, and going on from there. Also pretty doable for me. Success for you might be finishing a draft, showing up in a stream, making a comment, saying a nice thing, saying 10 nice things, making it the next 2 minutes without wanting to bash your face into a wall. I don't know. Everybody's success is different, and I think we need to recognize that first and foremost, because imposter syndrome delights in making things feel the same and applying universal things to unique experience. We see authors all the time talk about how they just signed with this and they just did this and they just have this deal, and then coming out in 2 months is that deal, and then coming out in 3 months after that's this thing. And it can really feel like 10 people are doing all the succeeding when 1,000 people are doing all the working. And that's not right. It's not, nor is it fair, but it's also incorrect. I should probably say it that way. It is flat out incorrect. Because there are so many factors we need to remember the minute the thought of I'm not good enough pops into our heads. I've made a list. Would you like a list? Here's a list. Item number 1. What did I do today in order to feed my art? Just what did I do? Did I do anything? It's a binary question. Did I do something or have I done nothing? That's going to be question number 1. Question/item number 2. Do I feel like I am capable of doing more than whatever I just answered in question number 1? Could I do more? Do I have it in me today, right now, right in this moment, to do more? And we're going to pause there with those first 2 questions because I want to steer the story back a little bit to me, because I want to show you these questions in context. Because as I went through childhood and as I went through my teenage years, and I became pretty much grafted to that idea of I'm not going to be good enough and everybody else is going to succeed and everybody else is just going to be better than me and I'm never going to be good enough. I found out that I was pretty good at a couple things. And that when I did these things, and at least at the time of my youth, these were all like good, positive, wholesome things, like be in the jazz band and play street hockey with my friends and do my homework and all that stuff. When I did those things, I wasn't worried about whether or not I was good enough or if I fit in or if I was ever going to make it, because I was busy doing the task. I was busy doing the thing. And I didn't realize, and we'll come back, we're going to circle back to that point later, but I didn't realize how important that was. I just thought, oh, well, I'm in high school. I'm doing my high school homework. I'm getting ready for whatever comes next. I don't know what comes next. That girl's attractive. That boy's not too bad looking either. Like, what do I do with my life? This is weird. Oh my God, I have some zits. Oh wow, that person's really hot. I wish I was having more fun. Like normal high school stuff, right? But I found that when I retreated into work, when I retreated into the things I loved doing, all of a sudden, somehow, some way, this idea of I'm not good enough to do these things went away, because maybe in part because I had to do the homework. Maybe in part because I had to go play with my friends. What else was I going to do? I barely had many of them. So any chance I had to go hang out with them, I took. But when you're in a group, when you find out where you belong, your focus on your work, your focus on your stuff becomes a lot more interesting and a lot more engaging because you've got a group around you. I hung out with my friends. I didn't worry about whether or not I fit in because I hung out with my friends. They weren't, the greatest, but we were all sort of a collection of various band geeks and misfits and secretly trashy people who were doing secretly trashy things, wishing we were the cool kids. And then the cool kids were over there and we would make fun of them. But when we put ourselves to the work, when we put ourselves into the production and the making and the creativity, we didn't worry so much about anything else because we had a job to do. This strategy carried me into college. Now, here's the fun thing about college. When you don't know if you're ever going to be good enough and you go to a new place, and you go to a new place where there's no longer any of the structure you're used to, you can fall apart pretty goddamn easily because you suddenly realize just how much better prepared everybody else is for literally everything. And imposter syndrome, after a short absence of feeling like, it's kind of on the periphery of my feelings, now is suddenly in full bloom. Now, like spring flowers, like the crocus in March and April, just bursts through the ground and absolutely swallows us. And this takes us to the next 2 or 3 items on our list. Item number 3. What the hell am I doing? Did I do anything? Can I do more of it? Third thing, wait a minute, what the hell am I doing? Because for me, I had no business being there. I had no business being in college. I was good at parts of it, the parts I paid attention to, the parts I cared about. I was very, very good at it. But at the same time, there was so much space, so much freedom, so many decisions I had to make that had previously been made / lectured / traumatically enforced at me, that I didn't know how to make decisions and I didn't know how to decide things and I didn't know how to feel about things because all of a sudden college just kind of assumed I was good enough to figure out how to make breakfast. And then like I had to make breakfast and I wasn't very good at it, but I didn't know if I was doing it right. See, when you get down on that granular, crunchy imposter syndrome level, there's this real feeling of, am I doing any of this right? And I don't know if you've ever had some sort of existential crisis when you're making waffles as a freshman in college, but I got to tell you, it's really intense. When all of a sudden you're like, I'm just being left alone with a hot electrical appliance and batter? Isn't this how fires start? Shouldn't there be like some supervision? I previously for 17 years, I wasn't trusted alone in a room with scissors, and now you're giving me a waffle iron. Okay. And this begins the question of what the hell am I doing? Which morphs into the 4th thing. Is what I'm doing matters? Does this make a difference? Is it worth it? That's the way to summarize these 2 questions. Is what I'm doing worth it? Because I found through fumbling and failing and feeling worse and worse by the minute that I didn't know what I wanted to do if there wasn't somebody there trying to traumatize my way through life. I was ill prepared. And I felt like I didn't belong anywhere. Now, maybe you've never had that experience at college, but maybe you've got that experience now when you've got your books, when you're writing this, when you're doing that, when you're thinking about this, when you're outlining that, when you're reading this feed and this thing and this article about this person succeeding. Maybe you got this feeling like, what the hell am I doing if that's what they're doing? Maybe your existential crisis at the waffle station is more of a full-on at the desk, hands just, sense of utter frustration. Because you're banging keys just like they are, but how come when they bang the keys, somebody backs a truck up to the house and they don't have to worry about how they're going to eat this month? What this does, the minute you start equating your quality of being and the quality of your creativity with your own internal value, with your own internal sense of quality and existence, hang on a second. You're scared to hear 5? Oh, five's easy. You got to be afraid of 6, but that's a different story. We'll get there, Jay. Don't worry. I got you, man. I'm going to take good care of you. Don't worry. But It's going to be all right. The minute you start thinking, though, about balancing your creative output with your existence as a person and the quality of your identity with the quality of your creativity, what starts to happen is you feel like a very small dog at a dinner party or a holiday if you are like the little dog of my parents. Tiny little dog, little West Highland Terrier. Love that dog to death. All my parents' dogs have been just amazing, even when they were grumpy. But they were tiny little dogs, or I guess this size dogs, medium, small to medium, tiny little things, right? Things that would be, underfoot regularly. But at a dinner party, they're always running around. They're looking for scraps. They're looking for stuff people have dropped. Because that's how they can eke out their extras. That's how they can get something that they feel they shouldn't otherwise get. Oh, I can get some table scraps. Oh, somebody dropped that little piece of meat. Oh, good times. And when it comes to feeling inadequate and not worth it and not good enough, we feel like anytime we can succeed at something, we've pulled a fast one on somebody. We've like snuck it in. We've conned somebody. Oh my God, how did I make this happen? Oh my God, $100 tip? Jesus, what did I do? All I did was say things into this camera. Shit. Oh no. I guess I better figure out what I said and say it like 1,000 more times so I don't have to worry about groceries or something. But every success starts to feel illegitimate. Like it didn't really matter. Like you didn't do anything. You just were being creative. You were just making a thing. You were just writing some words. You had a picture in your head. You wrote it down. And it somehow turned into this scene. And it's done. It's a scene, whatever. But it's not like good. We're not going to call ourselves like good at this. It's ridiculous. Because we feel like we don't belong. So any success we get is a fraud in some way. Psst, hey, you're never going to get this. Like, check this out. Like, I succeeded. You're never going to believe it. Like, I'm going to open up my jacket and offer you a watch. Like, it's a scam. It shouldn't be happening. But here we are succeeding. We don't know how to reconcile it. We don't know how to deal with it. We don't know how to grapple with it. Because we have too closely tied our identity to our output. Success, hell yeah. Where's my button? Success is by accident and I might get caught at it. Oh yeah, big time. I've been doing this job 25 years? Oh. No, less than that. Slightly less than that. Nearly a quarter century I've been doing this job. And I've been doing this longer than the people who you probably know do this for a living. But no one knows me. My SEO is there. You got to go look for me. I'm okay. But I don't show up in regular conversation. I'm not the big popular person with the sunshiny, happy Twitter feed of like, gosh, pals, here's what's going on. Because that's not me, bro. But I've been doing this longer than most of the people who do this. All my successes. I'm living in a building paid for by my successes. And I still feel like every single one was some kind of fluke, that somebody else should have gotten it. You know, like when you go to a store and you get handed somebody else's thing, but you've already like driven away or you've walked away or like, oh, this wasn't my order of French fries. And it feels like, I see what you did there. I see what you did there. But when you get that like extra little success, it feels not good. It feels like a trick. It feels shallow. It feels hollow. It feels like one of those Easter bunnies that seems like it's solid, then you crack it and it's just air. And then we find different ways to rationalize. We find different ways to have it make sense to us because success seems so foreign because we never really got any kind of toolkit or toolbox the way we think everybody else did. They got the manual. They got the cheat code. They got the instruction booklet. We got table scraps, and gosh darn it, we should be okay with it. And it sucks, and it's hard, so all our stuff feels a little shallow. Success changes the moment you obtain it. It's difficult to hang on to. Now, that is an interesting point, Quintillion. That is a very interesting point, and I'm not sure I agree with you. So let's detour for a minute because I want to talk about this. Any success you have, let's say you're creative, let's say you're writing a book, just so we can have some context, right? All that success, the writing of a thing, the making of a thing, the publishing of a story, the having a writing career, even if you want to stretch it out, it's short term. It's limited and finite to the one activity relative to it. I succeeded at, fill in the blank, a thing. So yes, it is difficult to hang on to in that context because eventually we are done succeeding at writing 20 pages. We have to go write the 21st page. But at the same time, success does sort of change the moment you obtain it, because now that is no longer good enough. Now, I'm saying this, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm saying this as a guy who's been sober many, many years. That feeling of chasing the high and escalating and climbing over the bar, it is a big deal. The same amount you just got isn't good enough anymore. We got to get more the next time. So you work a little harder, you try a little harder, you do some more dumb shit, and you end up maybe getting what you want, but then you got to do even more after that, and then it just keeps going. And that's a pretty common strategy for success, because it makes success feel not like something earned, but something fleeting, like something you're forever chasing, which is another way of saying I'm never good enough to just have it. I've got to be good enough to go after it. And my challenge to you, not just you, I'm not calling you specifically out, Quintillion. I don't think I know you. Maybe I do. I don't know. But my challenge is this. What if we changed our definition? What if we changed our definition? Because here comes number 5, Jay. The thing you're scared to hear. Would I be worth it if I succeeded differently? Yeah, we're going there. Because here's the thing. Here's the trick of our pulling a fast one over on success. Success was generated by an effort. It had to be. Because cause and effect is one of the rules that dominates existence. You did something in order to succeed. Even if the something that you did was just you showed up one day, or you put your socks on, or you took your meds and drank some water, or you asked a question, or you did something. Something had to happen. You exhaled. What if we decided that was good enough? Just on its face, by itself. We can do that. We get to determine what's good enough. Back to me in college. So I'm having my existential crisis at the waffle station. And I realize there's nobody yelling at me at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. If I want to desperately try and get the girl across the hall to sleep with me, disclaimer, I was a terrible person in my early 20s. If I'm desperately throwing myself at this girl because she's got some great albums and it's the early 90s, then, I'm more than happy to throw away my afternoon throwing myself at this girl who's very clearly not entirely into me, but sort of amused that somebody's trying this hard. But I can do that without somebody going John, you should be doing other things. Any effort felt like a success because I got to determine what I was doing. For somebody who had a million rules and a million things and punishment and suffering and trauma all around everything, the idea of being that free is fucking terrifying. But we do get to determine what success is. Why? Here comes the next one, Jay. Why can't we define success small? Why is that not good enough? So to loop us back for a while, did I do anything? Could I do more of it? What am I doing? Why does it matter? How do I determine my success? is this success ever enough? These questions spool over and over through my 20s and 30s, through alcohol and addictions and suffering and pain and frustration and anger, over and over with these questions, over and over with this feeling of I'm not good enough. Because here's the thing, you can't be an imposter by yourself. You cannot be an imposter by yourself. And I noticed later, like when I was 40, oh, hang on. It doesn't count if it's not perfect, and it'll never be perfect, so it never counts. Oh, we're coming back to that. Hang on a minute. We're gonna come back to that. I'm gonna get there. But I wanna make this one point first. The idea that you always need somebody else's frame of reference as a context point. You always need somebody else, some point of comparison, some other person, some other yardstick, some other point in the distance to figure out spacing and alignment and location, is the most harmful part of imposter syndrome. Because when it's just me and I'm just here hanging out, I don't worry about whether or not I'm good enough to sit in this chair and talk into this microphone or do my job. I'm very good at the work I do. I enjoy doing it. I've been doing it a lot. I will keep doing it until I'm probably on the ground, not alive anymore. But I don't question my ability to do the work. I question my ability to do the work relative to somebody else who's also doing the work. Because I need my work to be a certain level, to be as good, if not better than theirs, so that I am a more attractive choice professionally. But here's this idea of perfection, because honestly, it's not enough just to be better than the next person, right? Like anybody could be better than the next person. You need to be way better. I can't just be another editor or another writing coach. There's plenty of them. They're very chatty people. I got to be better than all of them. I got to be like super better. I got to invest in hundreds of dollars in equipment. I got to make sure I'm talking honestly. I got to put together this whole pile of things. I can't just tweet anymore. It needs to be perfect. Because it doesn't count, or so I used to tell myself. It doesn't count if it wasn't perfect. But the problem was, it was never going to be perfect. Because I'm the person who thought everything had to be perfect, but I was never given the tools to make it perfect. So I never learned how. Because everybody just sort of said, oh, John, look at you. This is how your life is. Everybody else is going to be better. Dude, what are you going to do? Cry about it? This is just how it is. Suck it up and move on. How does that set me up to be perfect? How is that right? And then to get deeper and deeper into this, I'm doing the best work of my career, the best work of my lifetime now. And nobody notices. A handful of people. Half dozen of you here notice. That definition of success relative to someone else, my success level must exceed their success level, will always keep us chained to whatever limitation, rationalization, lower definition we need to stick around to, so that we don't have to worry about changing and challenging our status quo. The longer we think, the longer we sit with this idea of, I need to beat this person in the race. I need to get ahead of these other folks. I need to do as well, if not better than them. The longer we try to do that, and the longer it takes us to realize that this is apples and oranges. This is not a fair race. It's not a fair race because you have trouble putting one foot in front of the other. It's not a fair race because you're running one way and they're running another, because you don't have the same goal. You don't have the same lane. You don't have the same path. You don't have the same speed. You don't have the same anything. But we're taught, we're conditioned, we're scared and shocked into thinking that everything is the same. You're a writer, I'm a writer, he's a writer, so we're all just writing. But we're not all just writing. I'm writing instructionals and informational advice. You're writing science fiction, they're writing a romance novel. That romance novel is going to stop at 80,000 words. Your fantasy novel is going to stop at, 100,000 words, and I'm going to stop at 6,000 words for the week. I'll be done writing before you, but that doesn't mean I'll win. Everybody's race, everybody's success, everybody's goalposts. Because I do want to steal your word. Your goalposts always seem to move when you think you get there. Consider this. You should put down your goalposts. What's it, 7? You should put down your goalposts so that they matter for you. And everybody else can set down their goalposts wherever else. Because the one big thing imposter syndrome needs to flourish, to propagate, to spread like a fungus is an idea of limitation, scarcity, and sameness. Because imposter syndrome works when we all think it's all equal and we're all equipped the same way. And we're all doing the same thing. Just some people are so much better at it because they know something you don't, or they fit in better than you ever could, or they this, or they that, and you're that, and this and the other thing. It doesn't account for all the things, especially with creatives, all the things that allow us to be creative. The individuation, the difference, the focus, the kindness, the compassion, the incidence of encountering systemic things for good or for ill, the shaping of our experience, the being in our existences. It doesn't account for any of that. Because we're the only us's. I'm the only me, you're the only you, they're the only them. And we're not all doing the same thing. So where are our goalposts? Where? Is it just to do a thing for the first time? Or does it go back to that idea that it has to be perfect? Okay, let's just suppose, just for a minute, stick with me. Let's suppose we stick with this idea that it has to be perfect. I'm looking around. Who decided it had to be perfect? Really, I'm hang on. We're going to move a little bit. Hang on. We're going to come here. Look, I'm going to tell you a thing. I didn't tell you it had to be perfect. I don't know where you got the idea that things had to be perfect. I don't want them to be perfect. I don't need them to be perfect. I just need them to be there. I'm an editor. I edit things. I'm a writing coach. I work with writers. If the writing is perfect and the writers are perfect, what the hell am I going to do? I need the imperfection. It's literally in my job description. I don't need it to be perfect. But you say, wait, John, whoa, hold up there, Chief. The reader needs it to be perfect. Who said that? When did that happen? Why is that the goalpost? How do we know that all readers agree on what perfect is? You ever talk to readers? Do you ever talk to anybody in any fandom? They can't agree on shit. Here are 2 examples. One, Star Wars. A thing that when I was growing up, everybody just loved. Everybody just loved it. It was Star Wars. And we all had the toys, and we all played with the toys, and, you know, we enjoyed the comic books, and then, you know, we thought the video games were cool, and then we went on with our day. But now, Star Wars is a great way to get into a fight with somebody. Well, this person's a this and this is a that. Blah, 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 blah. It doesn't matter. Somehow Star Wars became a fight. Because Star Wars needed to be perfect. Because I'm a reader, damn it. It needs to be the way I need it. Here's another one. Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings used to just be a bunch of books that the really nerdy people read. And then it somehow turned into a TV show. But now the TV show is bad. For reasons. And not even like the sensible reasons, like it's being made by a mega corporation, but like bad because people are brown or something, or the armor's wrong, or nobody's wearing a hat or some bullshit like that. I don't know. But you can't get readers to agree on what perfect is. You can't get them to agree on like, nope, that's the title screen, John. You can't get them to agree on what like makes a good book, what makes good science fiction, what makes a good romance story. What ends up happening in those things when they get asked as like workshop Q&A questions is not instead one singular definition, but instead a list. Like, 1 to 10, 1 to 20 things, people just shouting out, what about this and what about that and what about this and what about that? Because you can't get readers to agree on what perfect is. Because, again, just like the goalposts, the idea of perfection is individual. And imposter syndrome needs it to be collective. And it's just not. Perfect for me is never going to be perfect for you. Either because we hold each other to these different standards, ridiculous, impossible, or otherwise, or whether we have just different agenda. Here, let's just double check this real quick. Double check this. What are you going to do after this stream? I'll tell you exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn off all the lights. I'm going to save everything. I'm going to go downstairs to my kitchen. I'm going to have a root beer. And I'm going to play Horizon Forbidden West. I'm going to play a game where I'm shooting robot dinosaurs with a bow and arrow for like 2 hours. Why? Because I want to. Because I'm going to. That to me is going to be a perfect night. And then I'll go to bed and be very happy, and I'll get up tomorrow and I'll bust my ass for 15 hours on work. But that's tomorrow, John's problem. But that's my perfect. Have a root beer. Sit down downstairs. Play a video game. Put some music on. Just do whatever. Your idea of perfect might be, oh, fuck this. I'm going to have a cup of tea and go to bed. Or I'm going to go talk to my spouse, or I'm going to go play with my kids, or I'm going to go, make sure my kids' shit is up off the floor. I don't know. You're going to go find whatever it is that makes you happy. And you're going to go do those things. And we don't have to do the same things for both of us to be happy. We just need to do them. We get to set our own goalposts. We get to set our own definitions of success, and we can pursue them how we want. Now, I'm going to reach over here. We're going to test the stability of the system, so we're taking a 10-second break. I'm going to go like this. Oh my God. It hasn't crashed yet. Air horns. Going to get a mouthful of tea. Oh my God, that's delicious. And we're going to keep going. Because, oh man, there's more on the list. There's more on the list, Jay. Get ready. You have to ask what kind of tea it is. Tonight it is, oh God, I think it's just berries. Hang on. Yeah, it's just berries cold. It's just berries, regular tea, like disgustingly strong, ice cold, and dark as hell. It's how I like my iced tea. Good question. Great question. How are we good on this camera? Yeah, we're good. Okay. Yeah, it's just berries tea. It's just, I needed to make iced tea today. So fuck it. Berries it is. I didn't want to like mess with the other stuff. I was in a rush. There was a lot of stuff to do. I was preparing for this thing. I was nervous. Also, it's got a ton of caffeine and it's taking the edge off the ADD. Next thing on our list, now that we've set up the fact that we get to determine our own goalposts, now that we get to figure out what success means for us, we have to come back to this idea that we're not imposters when we're alone. That's really important. That's really important to me because it's something I literally didn't realize till like 5 months ago, 6 months ago. Really when I started streaming. Because in advance of doing a thing, streaming in this case, I watch a lot of YouTube. Still do. But I watch a lot of YouTube where like somebody's talking into like a $6,000 camera and they've got $2,000, $3,000 worth of lights and they're in like a space that is not a converted bedroom in a room with like baffles and everything. Now I have worked in those spaces. They're very nice. But here I am with my $100 dinky little webcam, my $110, let's say 15, 120, $130 worth of light bulbs. Talking into a $100 mic, talking into $1,000 worth of audio equipment because audio is really important to me. But it doesn't at all fit in with the idea of the streamer aesthetic. There's not a lot of RGB going on, you guys. I got no neon tubes behind me. I got 0 tubes. I'm tubeless. But here I am. And I thought that if I didn't have these things, I thought if I didn't fit the aesthetic, I thought if, like, John, you're 43. The average age of a Twitch streamer, for instance, is 21, 22, maybe 23. And they're all playing video games. They've got their capture cards. They've got their PS5s. I don't know how everybody got a PS5 except me. But they've got all this stuff. And what do you have? What are you doing? You're making English class fun again? Oh, okay. And then it goes one step further. Because here comes the big air quotes, peers aren't doing this. Have you noticed this? Like, I'm the writing coach who streams. You know what the other writing coaches are doing? Offering email courses. Tweeting a lot. Taking pictures of their kids. Franchising out their horseshit. All of a sudden, even though this is clearly successful, even though this is helping people, even though there are 7 people, 5 of whom I don't know. Hi. Clearly it's helping people and it's certainly helping me. It's giving me more creativity, more momentum, more encouragement on a daily fucking basis. But I don't see other people doing it. So I must be doing it wrong. I must be the problem. I set my goalpost. I know what success looks like. So why am I still the problem? Oh, this must be the next thing on the list. Comparison murders your creativity. I'll say that again. Hell, I'll even say that like way crazy zoomed in. Comparison murders your creativity every time. That's the wrong button, but we'll go with it. I was going for every time from the time I was 24 till what hour is it today? Anytime I have compared myself to what somebody else has done, I have carved out a little bit of the energy and vibe I had for creating that day. If I do it enough, if I'm foolhardy enough to read the comments or skim Twitter a little bit too long, I just find out that everybody else is doing so much better. Well, why should I even bother? And that's the problem. That's a big problem. Huge problem. Comparison murders creativity. Because, and again, didn't realize this until very, very recently, all those years when I was like successful, I couldn't be bothered to compare myself to other people because either one, I wasn't sober and I just didn't give a shit, or two, it just didn't occur to me to, like, there wasn't anybody like me. I didn't see anybody like me. I had accepted that part of the imposter idea that I was never going to be good enough. I was never going to fit in. It was always and only going to be me. So I took it to what I thought was the next logical conclusion. This idea of, hey, well, if I'm the only me and I'm the only one that works and I'm the only one doing this, then there's no point in comparing. I'm just always going to fall short. So I'll just stop focusing on that because it's going to be buzzing in the background all the time anyway. So I should just focus on the work and get it done. And if I get to carve out my win, well, then great. I've stolen a success and I'll scamper away before somebody notices. That's how it was. That's how it is. Not a lot's changed. Sometimes I wear different t-shirts and sweaters and hoodies now, but it's still that sense of like, I know what to do to succeed. I've got my goals. I've got my plan. But there's nobody like me. If you went, here's a challenge right now. Go find a writing coach. Go, any of them, even the ones that don't like me. Go find one. Tell them I stream. Ask them what they think. You're going to get a variety of answers. Very few of them positive. Why? Why? Because this isn't their thing. It wouldn't occur to them. It would be like going to you, the writer of whatever it is you're writing, and going, hey, have you thought about this totally different genre with this totally different project? Just, do that instead. It wouldn't occur to you. Or, to put it in more practical publishing terms, what if you just added a romance with a robot bear in your book? It wouldn't make any sense at all. So there's no point. There's nothing gained. There's not even enough really lost in the idea of comparing what you're doing to somebody else. Because remember, we compare ourselves so that we can remember or remind ourselves that we're not good enough, as if that ever changed, as if suddenly, all of a sudden, we woke up one day and we didn't feel inadequate. But we got to keep an eye on the runner ahead of us, right? That's where the race is. That's where the algorithm pushes us. Hang on. It's hard to stop convincing yourself you're not the NPC in your story, not even the quest giver, just the NPC who gets stuck on the fence. Hang on. We're going tight on this. We'll go even tighter. I don't have a framed in shot, so we're going to actually just move. You, always you are always the PC. You literally have to be. You're the one taking action. You are talking to an editor in the game industry. You're always the PC. You are somebody else's quest giver, just like other people are other quest givers for you. You are an NPC for others, just as they are an NPC for you. But you were always you. You were always the doer of something. You're always the PC. It can feel like you don't have a quest. It can feel like you're doing the quest wrong. It can feel like you're roaming around an out-leveled area under-equipped. But you're always the PC. And in that we find power. In that we find... Where's my main? In that we find freedom. This is, by the way, the graphic I was looking for before. I have it mapped to the wrong button. This power, I beg you, as a quest giver to PCs, beg you to embrace. Because this makes a difference. This is what changes your world. You get to define your quest. Somebody can tell you, oh, over there, the kingdom, that's where you go and get shit. But it's an open world. You can wander however you want over there. Take as long as you want, take as little as you want, take the long way around, take a shortcut. Do that Skyrim jumping thing where we just jump across the map. Do whatever you want. You get to figure out the route there. You get to figure out the best way. You get to figure out if you want to go around the obstacle or through the obstacle. But you are always the PC. Here's the next thing, though. Here's the wrinkle before I get another mouthful of water. Not everybody wants to be the PC. Sometimes being the PC sucks. Mouthful of tea, then we're back on my story. One sec. I should really make a graphic for tea, shouldn't I? Oh, that's good. All right. Oh, you know what we're going to do? We're going to move the tea so that I don't have to reach so far. Okay, here we go. Being the PC sometimes sucks. Being the creative sometimes sucks. Making a thing sucks sometimes. It can be discouraging. It can be hard to figure out if you're doing it right. It can be frustrating to do it wrong. It can be frustrating to be rejected. It can be frustrating to just have it take so goddamn long. It can be tiring. It can be boring. It can be aggravating. It can be confusing. It can be a load of things. And it can suck. Sometimes it's great. Sometimes it's a lot of fun. Oh my God, you guys. Oh my God, you guys. I did this exciting thing today. I wrote this. I made this. I made a Scott Hall graphic. Because Scott Hall is awesome and I will miss him dearly. You can do a lot of fun things. It can be great. It can be wonderful to celebrate the good stuff. But there are also days where it's just I took 6 hours to do 10 pages. Ate my whole damn day. Got one email from one person, and I spent the entire afternoon just frustrated and discouraged and shaking my head. Things like that happen. Things like that happen. But you're always the PC. And you get to determine where your goalpost is. And you can always move your goalpost for the day. It doesn't change the quest. It doesn't change the end result. It doesn't make it suddenly less desirable or more desirable. It's just a matter of, I'm done for the day. I'm stopping. Right here, I did enough. You get to determine that level. You get to make that decision. Not somebody else. Not that person way over there. Not that person in the other lane with this totally other agenda. You. It's your goal. It's your effort. So you get to decide. That's the important thing here. That's the power you have against the imposter. Because ultimately, whether you are legit or legitimately supposed to be there or not, you still get to determine whether or not you work on whatever it is you work on to whatever degree you work on it. Because you need something to do while you're in the space that you may or may not supposed to be in. Yeah, that kind of made sense, right? That sounded like it made sense. Let's try that one more time, John. No matter the space you're in, whether you feel like you're supposed to be there or not, you get to determine what you do to spend your time there. So if you feel like you don't belong and you're just waiting to be caught, you're just waiting for people to figure out like, oh, I shouldn't be here. How are you going to pass the time? Twiddle your thumbs? Read a book? No, you got time. Do your work. You're going to do it either way. Either you're going to do it here where you don't belong or over there where you do belong. So just do your work till somebody tells you to move. Ow. So you do the work. You stick with it. You do the best you can. You get to determine how much you do, when you do it, and whatever it is. You set your goalposts. You set your route through your quest. You get to decide if you've got more to do today or not. You got to decide if you're up to doing more today or not. Now let's take this a bit more abstract. Now we're going to take this in a proactive, let's call it proactive. Now we're going to take this in a proactive direction. Because all of this sounds well and good because I'm just one person in a big house by myself. And I'm talking into one microphone, looking into one camera, and vaguely looking at one monitor. And I'm alone. There's nobody around right now. Anybody else that is around is very, very removed. So it sure sounds easy when it's just solo, right? Because I'm by myself, so I'm always a group of me. I know where I fit in by myself. But the rest of the world doesn't work that way, right? All those people trying, all those plans, all those goals, all those successes, all that shit on social media that makes you feel bad has to come from somewhere, right? So how do we engage with the others? Because we have to. Because we are still social animals. How do we deal with others when we feel like we shouldn't be dealing with others? When we feel like we don't fit in with others no matter what we do, we still have to transact with them. We still have to engage with them. We still have to occasionally even cooperate with them. The next thing on my list, the next item, what is this, 11? I think it's 11. Where do you want to be? Not, see, here's the trick, here's the wrinkle. Not where should you be, because if you're like me, you'll immediately put yourself in one of the worst places possible because that's what you feel you deserve. But where do you want to be? Like, if you sat down and thought about what you did and thought about what you wanted to do, where would you go to do that thing the best? The best you could on any given day, relatively, right? So I want to sit and frequently talk into this microphone. So what do I need to do? I need to put this microphone on a thing that makes it easier for me to use it. I want to make sure I record material that helps teach writer stuff. So I need to get into the habit and the equipment of whatever that takes to teach people stuff. I need to tell people, hey, I'm building stuff and doing stuff. Because those are the positions and those are the places where I don't need to compare myself to anybody else because there's stuff I need to focus on. There's stuff I need to do. Because if I'm busy doing this stuff, trying and failing as I might be to use illegally bootlegged Photoshop to remove the background from Scott Hall so I can paste him on my screen, or figure out how to get all my lighting so that it's mostly blown out here but okay over here because it's still not great, but it's better than it was. If I got to focus on these things and work on these things and try to get towards my goal and set my goalposts and move towards them, I don't have time to stop and think about the 25 other people who are doing like way better than me. I have a lot of space in my brain for a lot of things and a lot of stressful things. But I don't have any more room for that right now. So that has to wait over there, out the door, over there, around the corner, out of the way. Where do you want to be in order to do whatever it is you love to do in the best place you could do it? What does that space look like? Where is that space relative to you? And how can you access it as frequently as possible? Is it a room? Can you go to that room a lot? Is it a chair? Can you sit there frequently? Is it a playlist you have to put on over and over so that you hear the same stuff in the background? Quintillion, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming. I appreciate your questions. Thanks for being here. I look forward to seeing you again. Have a good night. Where do you have to go? Not you, Quintillion. You go wherever you got to go. Where do you have to go in order to access that thing that makes you not compare yourself to somebody else? My creative spaces in this building, there's a few. I'm in one now. And in this space, in this room, with these lights, with this mic, nobody's touching me. I'm in my seat of power. I'm in my domain. And I can do a lot of things here. Maybe not perfectly, maybe not as good as everybody else. I don't have interchangeable lenses. I don't have fancy this and fancy that. There are no LUTs on this thing. I only have a few lights. I don't have all the best gear. But in terms of having some amount of gear and being able to do what I want to do, which is help people tell their stories, yeah, I can hold my own in a fight. I can do okay. And that's important to me. I go across the hall. I have a really nice bathroom. Like, I spent a lot of money on like imported tile and fancy showers and stuff. Like, it's a nice bathroom. It's really comfortable in there. Like, I can sit in there and shave and brush my teeth, take a nice shower, listen to some music, just kind of relax in there. It's a nice rest room. I feel pretty creative in there. I got a lot of good thinking in there. I do a lot of rehearsing in there because the audio sounds pretty good. Downstairs, I have a brand new couch. It's nice. It's heavy. It's firm. It's supportive. And it faces my big TV, and I can sit there with a cat, 2 cats, by myself. I can just sprawl. I can have a root beer. I can play a video game. I'm not the best player in the world. I am not the best raiser of cats. But from that couch, with that controller, with this game, with a root beer, I'm pretty happy. And it wouldn't occur to me to compare myself. Yes, the cats have a new couch that they let me use. That is true. So, do we want a cat detour while I get a mouthful of water? Here's a cat detour. So I move this new couch in, right? There are, it's an L-shaped, it's a mini sectional. It's an L-shaped couch. So there's one big arm on one side and a long-ass sectional on the other side. And one cat, the small one, has claimed the arm because it's big and overstuffed, and she just sort of plops on it. The sectional, the longest thing that extends into the room, the other cat just took it. Just sprawl out in it. Now, sometimes light comes through the window, bathing the couch in light. The house could be on fire. That cat's not getting out of that sunbeam. The cats own that couch. I am occasionally allowed to sit on it, provided I either pet them or otherwise engage them in conversation that is non-threatening and pretty chill. They do not hang out there if I'm grumpy when I sit on the couch. Fortunately, I don't stay grumpy once I'm on the couch. That couch is really nice. But the idea is that you have spaces, you have rooms, you have locations, you have some kind of area somewhere where you feel creative. Maybe it's on your phone. Maybe it's, sitting in one chair in a room. Maybe it's the back of your cubicle at work if you have to go back to the office. Maybe it's, the little beach house you remember as a kid. Who knows? Everybody has some space, though. Everybody has some space. When there is just that right kind of confluence of location and time and weather and light and dark and shadow and temperature and stuff and freedom, where you feel that if you were there in that moment, you could change the world. You could move the sun. Somebody could ask you for something in that moment, in that space, and you would not think twice about struggling to accomplish it. Hey, I need you to perform open heart surgery. Sure, give me a spoon. Right here, let's go. But if we go 2 feet to the left, if we go 3 feet down the hall, oh, no. Everybody has a place where they feel good enough. What does your place look like? I'm asking because in that place, whether you recognize it or not, you have not let the imposter in. I turn these lights on, I turn this mic on, I can talk about imposter syndrome like I don't have it. I can talk about it like it's an objective thing. I can talk about it like it's way the hell over there, like it's somebody else's problem. I can speak like the authority in creativity that I am. Because I'm in this place, I'm in this position, I got this microphone, I got this camera, I'm talking to you, we're just hanging out, I'm wearing my sweater and my comfy pants and my good slippers. I got a cup of tea, we're doing this, let's go. But give me 10 more minutes, 15 more minutes. Turn the camera off, turn the lights out, put me in another room. Nah, son, I'm done. That imposter's just waiting around the corner. You don't let the imposter into those places where you feel creative, because that creativity defies the imposter's understanding of existence. Because the imposter wants you to keep not doing things, not succeeding, not trying. So that way you can keep feeling not good enough. So you can keep thinking of the world as some finite race where you are always behind. When you come to your place, and when you sit in your place, and when you work in your place, and you do the best you can, what's that imposter got to say now? You are demonstrably wrong. Look, imposter, I'm doing the work. If I was so bad, if I was so far off, if I was so not good enough, I shouldn't, in theory, be able to even do this. But I can. But I am. Something to think about. One more point. You can go back to, and you can sit in those places and positions of authority and comfort and power and creativity as frequently as you can and as frequently as you want. There's nothing stopping you. It's fine. Go ahead. The challenge is whether or not you let yourself do it. Not like the endurance of I sit my ass in this chair until it gets numb. That's a physical thing. I can get up and walk around, and that's not what I'm talking about. I mean, can you give yourself the permission to resist the idea that you're not good enough? Can you resist that urge, that habit, that feeling long enough for you to keep doing the thing you want to be doing so you can accomplish that goal, so you can move those goalposts? You can do that as much as you want. You can do that as frequently as you want. Nobody's stopping you. Remember, if you feel like you don't belong, if you feel like you're not even supposed to be here today, if you feel like everybody else is better off and you've got nothing, and every victory is stolen and isn't really yours to begin with, who cares where you sit? Who cares how frequently you sit there? You don't fit in, but you feel okay in that chair, and then go stay in that chair. It just seems to make sense. Last point, and then we'll get out of here. Last point. Here we go. Last point. One of the big engines that makes imposter syndrome run is this idea, and I mentioned it before, this idea of things being finite and scarce. This idea that what we create and being creatives and being around other creatives is some constant game of musical chairs where the music could stop at any second and there's only so many seats. So you damn sure better hurry up and be your best creative and do your best work and keep doing your best work, because any minute now there's going to be a lack of chairs and the music stops. There's going to be a lack of customers. There's going to be a lack of sales. And there's going to be a lack of interest in your stuff. And there's going to be a lack of readers. And there's going to be a lack of this. And there's going to be a lack of that. And it's all wrong. It's all wrong. You can maybe make an argument that when we're talking about physical books, physically printed things, we have finite quantities of. You can say that, yeah, there's only like 25 of those in this room. Eventually, there will not be enough for everybody. That 26th person shows up, one of you better share. But if we're talking about digital things, the PDF of our book, there's no finite quantity other than there's the one link, and you just keep sending it out to people. There's not a finite number of customers beyond the population of a planet. There's no rule that says, oh, well, I can't buy your book. I just bought their book. Fuck no, I got a whole room full of bookshelves. How many steno pads and journals do I own? Like boxes. There's a whole like storage space full of not Tupperware, Rubbermaid big totes full of empty, unused steno pads. I can always take more. There's not a finite scarcity in sight here. Your idea isn't going to suddenly dry up and evaporate. Your enthusiasm might, your motivation might, your physical energy level might, your blood sugar might drop, but you can fix those things. You can repair those things. You can restore those things. You can train those things. But imposter syndrome loves to give you a challenge, loves to make you feel like, oh, well, there's got to be some kind of limit. There's got to be some kind of scarcity. There's got to be some kind of problem. Because it doesn't want you accepting the amazing power of setting up your own goals, figuring out where you belong, figuring out the space you want to be in to do the work you want to do. And it doesn't want you thinking about things not in incremental, consistent, disciplined steps, but it wants you thinking things relative to somebody else's success. Remember the bread dough example. We talk about the bread dough example a lot here. If you're new, here's the bread dough example. You go to the store and you buy the perfect loaf of bread. It's brown and it's crusty and it's soft on the inside and it's whatever kind of bread, whatever it is, it's perfect. It's the bread you wish all bread was like. You buy a loaf, you put it on your counter, you stare at it, you look at it and you're like, it is just bread after all. I have the equipment to make bread. I'm going to make some bread too. So you realize that bread is just, flour, yeast, water, and salt. So you dump these things together. You mix them up. And your dough does not look like that bread. You must be doing something wrong. You must be totally failing. Your bread dough, your unfinished first draft is not that person's, award-winning finished published novel. You must be doing something wrong. Bread dough to bread. So you keep working your bread dough. Your dough combines, it rises, it develops. You dump it into a pan, but still it's in a pan. It's now bread shaped. But it's still not that finished loaf of bread. So you pop it in the oven. You let it cook. You move it through the publication process. You develop your bread. You develop your idea. You put your labor into this. You put your work into this. You did this thing. You made this thing. It comes out of the oven, all set. It's all done. It's complete. It's ready. You made bread. You took a handful of things that were not bread and transformed them into bread. You had this idea that was disparate chemical, electrical signals in your brain and turned it into words on a page and then turned that words in the page to multiple pages into a file, and that file gets turned into a book. It started off as a brain thing and it's turned into a physical object. It's turned into a thing on a monitor. You did that. You made bread. They made bread. But your bread looks different. Why? Because every loaf of bread's different. It's got the same ingredients. Maybe even has the same ratios, the same mixes, the same stuff, but it was made in different machines It was made with different hands. It was made at a different temperature. It was made differently. It's bread. You have bread. But they're different. Ow. You have to be... I got to work on mic placement. You have to be okay with the fact that your bread is not their bread, and it's never going to be their bread. But at no point in the making of the bread can you compare those two things. You wouldn't compare the bowl of yeast flour and water with their finished bread because they're, although it's all the same stuff, it's not the same exact thing. Your book, your draft, even if it's unwritten, even if it's unfinished, even if it's barely started, even if it's 2 words away from the end, is never going to be that other person's finished book because it's a different thing. That doesn't mean you're not good enough because clearly you just made bread. It just means that you made a different loaf of bread than they made. That's not being an imposter. That's just being a different baker. So, for the last hour and 30-something minutes, I've just challenged you, encouraged you, shown you that instead of trying to be that baker, I need you to be your baker. Make your bread. Tell your stories. They're going to be universally different, and they're going to be universally the same. They're going to be compatible and enjoyable and interesting and different and divergent and similar. They're going to relate and not relate. They're going to find their audience. They're going to miss their audience. They're going to struggle. They're going to succeed. They're going to sell well. They're not going to sell at all. They're going to have a lifespan. They're going to live forever. Your bread is never going to look like their bread because you will never be them. That's not because you're not good enough, but you are literally a different composition of atoms. You are literally a different being. So just like those kids on the playground. Yeah, we're all running around. But some people run over there, and some people run over here, and some people have different trouble running all together. But at the end of the day, we're all kids on the playground. At the end of the day, we're all telling stories. At the end of the day, we're all making bread. You don't have to let the imposter dominate. You can always come back to that place, that time where you feel capable, and you can revisit it and develop it over and over until you decide you're done. You deserve that. You don't always feel like you belong. You don't always feel like you fit in. You don't always feel like you get it. Everybody else seems to be 10 times, 15 times, 1,000 times better. That's fine. You're still good enough. You come back here every Monday and Wednesday, and I'll keep telling you you're good enough. I'll tell you for 100 weeks. I'll tell you for 200 weeks. I'll tell you forever. I only need you to believe me once. You're good enough. Just keep going. That's all you got to do. And I'll do the same thing. You're great. You're really great. Don't give up. Now, I'm going to press this button. I'm going to get a mouthful of tea. And I'm going to not... You know what I forgot to do? I forgot to put the outro screen on. So give me a second. Just chat amongst yourselves. Nope. Stop it, John. I'm pressing the wrong buttons all the time. Hang on. There. Okay. Yeah. I don't know what happened to the outro screen. Anyway, I'm just going to talk to you. Here comes the outro for this time. Thank you so much for being here. Truly thankful for you. This was great. This made my night. I love you all. Your tips, your subscriptions, your everything mean the world to me. Thank you. You made, I'm so glad we got the wire to work. Thank you. Thanks for being here. The next time I'm here will be on the 16th, Wednesday. We'll be right here. with all different graphics, possibly different lights because I got to charge that light. But we'll be here for the writer's chat. If you've never been to a writer's chat before, it's a big-ass Q&A. You can ask literally any question. Any damn question you want about anything you're writing. How do I write this? How do I publish that? What about this? What about that? Anything you want. They're a lot of fun. I curse slightly more than I did here. It's going to be way more fun now that the internet connection is stable. I'm very excited. But that's Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Audio for tonight, for this thing you just heard, will be available as a podcast within an hour on all major platforms. If you just search for John Helps You Write Better, I'll put that out first thing. This stream will be available as a VOD. Is that really what we call it, a VOD? That's like a terrible name. This will be on demand on Twitch for 2 weeks. It'll be on YouTube tomorrow. I should make a YouTube graphic. Where's my pen? YouTube graphic. All right. So until next time, until Wednesday, please, 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 we'll catch up on the VOD. Yeah, totally catch up on the VOD, man. It's good to see you. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks for listening. Thanks for hanging out. Thank you for your delightful comments. Thank you for your support. Thanks for everything. It really and truly does mean the world to me. Take care of yourselves. Take your meds. Drink some water. I love you. You're good enough. I'll talk to you really soon. Have a good night, guys. See ya! Air horns!